Knitting Nook, Knits by Náyla knitting podcast. This is episode 3. Thank you for coming to my channel today and listening to all my knitty ramblings. I don't have any knit items on today, but I do kind of have a lot to go over. My last podcast I filmed the beginning of June. So I filmed my last episode at the beginning of June. I think it was actually June 1st, and today is July 22nd. And I think that it took me so long to film in between, other than having a busy summer. For some reason I have in my head like I didn't have any finished objects, which is not true. And I think that's because the finished object that I wanted to have, I didn't have because I ran out of yarn. And then even once I got more yarn, it was kind of taking me a bit longer to finish it, and it's still not done, so. But anyway, I thought that I would just go ahead and show what I have, especially because my yarn acquisitions are growing, and I do kind of want to show things because I'm excited about them, but also like every video can't be like majority yarn haul, even though I have a lot to show today. But anyway, we will go ahead and jump into our finished objects, and the first one is, surprise surprise, another Tolsta tee. This is the Tolsta tee by Rebecca Clow, the Crayabea. I did this in Rico's Designs Lazy Hazy Cotton. I think the color is lilac. I have some left over. I think I bought 6 of these, or maybe I bought 8, but I have 2 left, plus like a little bit. So the color number on here is 12. It doesn't have the color name, but I'll put it up. But yeah, it's this beautiful multicolored yarn. This is a cotton blend. It's 49% cotton and 46% acrylic, 5% polyester, made in Belgium. Again, it's Rico Design Creative Lazy Hazy Summer Cotton. This is a DK weight fiber, and it works up so beautifully. You can just see that. I made this in the size 5, and this was actually inspired by Coco In Knits, I believe her name is. She used this when we were doing the test knit, and Rebecca and I both were like, oh, we need that immediately. I did this in a size 5 as opposed to my original Tolsta, which was size 7. That one has a lot of ease, I think more than probably intended in the pattern. And while I do love it, I kind of feel like it bunches in my shoulders a little bit, or I'm like constantly like shifting it. And I had planned to make another Tolsta anyway, but I just did this 2 sizes down to have less ease, and it's definitely a more fitted option. I still don't know if I have the suggested ease. I haven't done any measurements. I don't care that much, but if I make another one, maybe I'll do the size 6 in between the 7 and the 5, and maybe that will be perfect. But I do love all of them. They all fit, you know, certain needs. I used the needle size as recommended in the pattern. I think I might have lengthened it a little bit more than the pattern calls for, or maybe no, I shortened it by an inch actually, because I like it to be kind of cropped on me. And then the only other thing of note about this pattern is that I bound off a little tightly on the sleeves and the hem, which I didn't realize until after I did all of the Italian bind off. It's not so bad. It still fits, you know, pretty comfortably, but there's like no stretch in the bind off. It got a little bit better after blocking / washing. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I took some nice pictures the other day. Shout out to my mom who helped me. But yeah, I love it. It's so light, that fabric. It's lighter than my original Tolsta in the Capri Echo Cotton from Loops and Threads at Michael's. Much lighter. I definitely would like to work with this yarn again, and I purchased this from universalyarn.com. And that moves on to the other finished object, which I don't have with me today, but that was the crochet engagement top and skirt that I was making for my sister Kayla. Our original deadline was end of May, but that didn't really work for either of our schedules, and then she was coming to town June 22nd, so I was aiming to have everything done by then, and then she did. I wanted her to come and try it on first, before, you know, since she was going to be in town, it made more sense for me to try it on, and then I could make any adjustments needed to fit, you know, her body super well, because I was going based off measurements that I took back in April. But again, I believe I shared on the previous podcast that I was just a little concerned about, you know, I've never made anything to someone else's measurements, pretty much, and definitely not anything that someone's paid for. So I really wanted to make sure it fit her well, and it was a good thing that we had the try on, because as I suspected, the skirt I ended up doing for the skirt, I did a chain to her waist measurement, and then I did half double crochet, like a flat rectangular panel, back and forth, half double crochet, until I got to a good length based off her height. And then I connected that, seamed the sides, you know, seamed the panel together to make a tube, basically. And then from there, I did decreases in the round, stopping at like, not in the round. I did decreases, but I stopped at like the center, and then I would turn the work and then do another decrease on this side, turn the work, decrease here, turn the work, decrease there, to try and make an asymmetrical angle so that it would come down and kind of be like a high-low aspect. And then from there, I changed the color and added a ruffle around the asymmetrical hem, and then I added layers of ruffles to kind of make it like mermaidish, or like in wedding dresses, I think you call it like a bustle, or I don't know. I just wanted ruffles and around the bottom of the skirt, based off of like the original idea that we had, which was Bliss from Love is Blind, her wedding dress. But since I had done the top, you know, the whole skirt was basically her hip measurement, not her waist, I was assuming that we would need adjustments, and we did, because her waist is maybe, I don't know, her waist is smaller than her hips. So that's one of the things I wanted to try on and adjust for her. And then also on the top, I believe I mentioned previously, I did the top's kind of a combination between a video from Chenda DIY and another one from, I can't remember the other name. I'll insert it and it'll be in the description below. But I believe the pattern was the Suzette Bralette or crop top, something like that. And I kind of follow the construction, like, in that video, she added, she did a flat panel, and then she added kind of like bust darts to the top, and then from there she did a lace up back. So I took that part from the Suzette top. I didn't do the same stitches that she did. I just did half double crochet, but I took the bust darts, and then I ended up doing a lace up back. And then for the ruffle, to make kind of like a sweetheart neckline, I did the ruffle, essentially that Chenda DIY had on one of her bralettes. And so she came to the house to try everything on, I think, the first week of July. And I was also working on it one day when I was sitting by the pool, and one of my kind neighbors actually saw me working on it. I hadn't met her before, but she was like, oh, I crochet too, and what are you working on? Oh, are you using cotton? I'm like, yeah, I love cotton. She's like, oh, I hate cotton, stay right here. And then she left the pool area, came back and brought me a bag full of cotton yarns, which I have some of it here. But it was also so nice to speak with her, because I was working on Kayla's set at the time, and she actually gave me some advice. You know, I mentioned I was worried about the waist, and she was like, well, why don't you add elastic? I'm like, genius. I will add elastic. So here's some of the yarn she gave me. This is Lion Brand's Comfy Cotton blend in the mochaccino color, which is ironic because I actually have some of this that I got in a kit from Lion Brand, Two of Wands kit. I think I was supposed to do the topaz tee, but she gave me that, and she also gave me Premier Cotton Fair yarn. This is white, obviously. This is 52% cotton, 48% acrylic, and she gave me 3 colors, which is so nice, and multiple. She gave me like 4 of these, and just the 1 gray, and then 2 of the comfy cotton. But it's so nice because I think that these will make great summer tops. But anyway, back to the skirt. Kayla came the first week of June to try it on. She did love it. I have a picture of her trying it on. I don't have any final pics of the engagement yet, but if she sends any of those photos, I'll add them in here, or maybe I'll add them in a future podcast. But she came to try it on. She loved it, which I was so happy about and relieved about, because I had like nervous sweats as she was coming. I don't know if anybody else is a nervous sweater or like has anxiety, but you know, I start to like think about all of the possibilities, both the good and the bad, and just like worry. And sometimes that translates into me like getting overheated and whatever. But anyway, she came with her friend to try it on. She loved it, but we did, as I expected, need to adjust the waist. And then she also asked for the ruffle to sit a little higher on her arm, because as I had made it originally, and you'll see in the picture, it was just loose on her arm, and so maybe it sits down here instead of like sitting up on her shoulder. So to make those changes, for the skirt, I just undid a couple rows, because it was already pretty much a good length for her height. And she doesn't want too much midriff to show. So with the adjustments that I needed to make, we only wanted to leave about like an inch between her, where the top ended and where the skirt began. We didn't want too much of a gap. So I undid about 2 or 3 rows of the red color from the top of the skirt. And then I redid them by adding a couple of decrease rows on either end of the skirt. So just in 2 spots where, you know, on either side of the hip, I did some decreases, maybe for 2 or 3 rows. And then from there, I did 1 round of the yellow color in just single crochet. And then I attached my green yarn and I did ribbing. And so with that, I did, you couldn't really work it in the round because it wouldn't, like when you do the rib stitching crochet, you have to do back loop only. And to get it to in order to do that and form the actual waistband, I had to do it vertically. So how that looks is I attached my yarn and went around once in the green, And then from there, at the beginning of round, I chained up, let's say 10 or 12, because I wanted to have 2 inches, because the elastic that I had was 1 inch wide. So I chained up maybe 12 stitches. And then from there, you work kind of, I guess this is horizontal. So you're working vertically to go across your chain, and then you connect it, once you've chained up, you chain 1 turn, you're going back down, then you connect it to the skirt, you single crochet into the next stitch, and then you go back up and repeat all the way around till you come back to your starting point, and then you just connect those together. And once I had that edge, I added my elastic, which I just cut, to 2 inches, I think 2 inches less than her waist measurement. Then I sewed the edges of the elastic together, put it around the skirt, and then flipped the green in half over the elastic, and then I just sewed it down, on the inside. And I had an elastic waistband. And then for the sleeves, I didn't want to take them out and redo them, because to make how I did the top with the sleeve. So the top, as I mentioned, was the rectangle that's flat and it laces up the back. When I did the ruffle sleeves, I attached yarn in the center, and then I single crocheted along this half of the bust on the top. And then from there, once it got around the underarm area, I chained to go around the arm, and then connected that chain to the back, and then went half across the back to make the sleeve. And then from there, just working back across that entire row, back and forth. And so I didn't want to undo that whole thing. So since I had my elastic, I was like, I'll just add elastic to the sleeve part. So that's what I did, and I sewed it down. And then I've never sewn elastic before, so I was using needle and thread to do it, which went fine. And I'm not the best sewer. I haven't, that's not my thing. I would like to learn, but we're not there yet. So it was kind of like a haphazard sew. And then I realized the white part of the elastic was showing a little bit. And so I'm like, oh, well, I can just crochet around it. But the way that I sewed, at least the first sleeve, I sewed into where I would have put my crochet hook. So I could no longer get into the stitches with my crochet hook. So I had to, let's just say this is the sleeve. Let's say this is the sleeve, and it's attached to the rest of the shirt here, or the elastic is attached up here. Instead of me being able to insert my crochet hook on the top up here, I instead inserted below, and then did, or below here, and then I did rows of double crochet, I think, up that way. And then kind of, I don't know what everything that I did, but I was able to cover the elastic that way. And then on the second sleeve, I did better with my sewing so that I could make sure I could still get my crochet hook in to cover up the elastic. But either way, it worked, and I delivered the garments to her, and she's happy. I'm happy. So glad to have accomplished that project, because I really was very nervous about it, but now I know I can do it. So that's always a good thing when you you think you can't do something, but you try anyway and you succeed, and it's like, oh, what was I so worried about? Okay, so that is all the finished objects. And the finished object that, well, what I was hoping would be a finished object when I filmed my third podcast is my cardigan in the Caron's Blossoms Cake Denim Daze. 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 Caron's I think that in my last video, I told you that I had been working on this and I started the sleeve and then I ran out of yarn. And so for like a week or maybe longer than a week, a couple weeks, I was like scouring the internet, scouring every Michaels. I had gone to North Carolina on a trip with my mom. I was checking Michaels there, checking Michaels in my local area, and this color is just gone. And so then I took to Ravelry and I was looking up, I searched this yarn and it shows you like how many people have stashed this yarn. And so then I started messaging every person that had it in their stash. Mostly just the people that like didn't already have a project assigned to the yarn. I started messaging them like, hey, do you have any of this yarn left? Do you have scraps? Do you have, you know, a skein? Whatever you have, I need to finish a project. I would appreciate it. And some people, you know, were kind enough to respond. Some said they didn't have any, or they had already, you know, used it up, or they had a project they had in mind. And there were actually 2 beautiful people on the internet that responded to my message like, hey, I have some left. I'd be happy to send to you, just cover the shipping. The first was Lily52 on Ravelry is her username, and the second was Pine Trees and Pears. And they were both kind enough to send me their stash. I think one of them actually sent me 2 skeins of the Denim Daze. And so I've been able to continue on and I'm making my sleeve. But the only thing is that I picked up pretty much every stitch when I connected my panels. I picked up the stitches in the round around the armhole, and then I didn't really start with any decreases. I knit maybe about 40 rows. You can see my marker here without any decreases. And while I was doing this while we were driving home from North Carolina, and so I would like pull it on, you know, my arm while I was in the car and like, that's okay, and then, you know, try and do a length check. But now that I've, you know, I'm home and I've tried it on, I actually think that it's a little large. Has more ease in the arm than I want. And I have been working decreases. So when I started my decreases, I was doing 2 decreases every 10 rows. And then I started to do, when I was realizing that it was still like, I would like hold it up to my arm and I'm like, oh, okay, I have length to go, but it's still pretty wide. Then I started doing 4 decreases every 5 rows. And so I think I went from like 100 plus stitches or 104 stitches to like 50, but I still think that it's a little big. I can back up and try it on. Okay. And I'm still obsessed with my button band. It's the first time that I've ever made one and I love it. But here's the sleeve. It's hitting a little short right now, but I kind of assume that when I block it, it will come to an appropriate length on my wrist. But even though it does, like this is my arm, so it does kind of fit, but it's still, there's still some room here. And then when I put my arm down, it does this wrinkle thing, which I don't like. So I'm thinking that maybe there's still too much room and it's a super stretchy fabric. So I'm considering undoing it, but I haven't touched it after I bound off, which I just did 2x2 rib and a regular bind off on the sleeve, which should match the bottom hem. But yeah, so once I finished that and then I decided that maybe I want it to be a little different, a little more snug, I'm gonna do the other sleeve before I before I undo this, because this was a lot of work. So we'll see how the other sleeve is first, and then I'll make a decision. But yeah, that's my freehand cardigan that I'm making. And then the other reason that it's kind of on hold, even though that has been what I've wanted to finish, or was hoping I would have finished before I filmed the next video, I actually applied for and was accepted to a test knit for Aarohi of Knit Rohi. She's releasing soon her tangent top. So I'm in the test knit group for that. That is due August 7th, so I kind of need to put some pep in my step. Here's my swatch. And this is in the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Wild Berries 94208. Knitting for Olive. It's actually so very pretty. And I believe this is fingering. And so the pattern, she calls for a 3 millimeter needle. And I do have the Chiaogu interchangeable set, which I didn't realize until I went to cast on for the test knit that my set does not come with 3 millimeters. So I had to order separate needles from Amazon. And I did my first swatch in what was in my set. I think it was 2.75 or 2.5 needles, but it was an inch off of gauge, both row gauge and stitch gauge. So yeah, I just had to wait for my the 3 millimeters to come, and this is my progress so far. Not much. It's just the neckline, but well, not even the neck, the collar, which I forget. The cast on was new to me. I think, it was Italian cast on, which I have to see if in the pattern she says, because you do the Italian cast on, which is it's not in the round, or you don't immediately connect it in the round. Instead, you do like 2 rows first. And so at my beginning of round, I kind of have like this split here, and I'm assuming I can just sew it, sew it closed, use my cast on tail and sew it shut when I finish. But I'm like, that's unusual. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I have a lot of work to do before August 7th, but before I did that, there was the project that I believe I mentioned in my first video when I was shopping the New Jersey Woolfolk sale yarn crawl. I was mentioning that I was looking for colors for my aunt's friends to make them berets for their upcoming trip to Paris. And I had landed on Drops Baby Merino as my yarn, which is very soft and great colors. And their trip is next week. So I was like, oh, I have to actually start making these. So I did cast them on, and I was working on this one while I was at the beach. But there's something, the pattern is La Parisienne. I'll put the designer's name and her info in the bottom. Yeah, so that's the pattern. It's a crochet beret. I had originally wanted to do the Best Beret by James and Watts, but when I don't know if I looked at the gauge when I was shopping in store, and when I went to cast on the Best Beret, which I had actually did before I did my last Tolsta, and I even posted my story like, oh, new cast on Best Beret by James and Watts with Baby Merino. And then like 5 minutes later, after I had done like the first, I think it's the I-cord cast on, it just wasn't knitting gauge in any kind of way. It was supposed to be like, with the I-cord cast on, it was supposed to be, let's say 16 inches long, and I had maybe 9 inches or 8 inches, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And so I had immediately, you know, I'm like, we'll put this beret thing on pause, and then I did the Tolsta. So I didn't want to go look for new yarn that would meet that pattern. Instead, I just did the Parisienne pattern, which this yarn should meet, unless I'm totally, you know, dumb. I believe this is sport weight. That's what it says on Ravelry. And that's what sport weight yarn is called for in the pattern. The designer, her sample was done in Drops Flora and I think Drops Kid Silk, but she was like, or you could use just one strand of a sport weight yarn. And so that's what I was doing with a 3mm crochet hook. And I did this sample. I haven't connected it yet, but it looks so small. Like, it's not even as big as my face. So how in the world? I mean, my head is large, but it's not gonna fit on anybody's head. So that's why I didn't waste time connecting it. But I do like the pattern, but there's just something that's like, it could be me, but there's something that's not translating. And so since I have 3 to make, 1 in pink, 1 in blue, 1 in red, I just moved on to the blue one, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll go up a hook size. And so the blue sample, which is color, I think it's color 33. Yeah, the pink is 46, the blue is color 33. The blue looks better in size difference. I went up to, instead of a 3mm, or yeah, instead of 3mm, I'm using 4mm on this one. And it is bigger. It got bigger after blocking, which it does look very nice. The pattern, the wedges. And that's the other thing. The pattern calls for 7 of these wedges. So when you cast on, you're working back and forth, so you turn, but the set of repeats creates these, like, maybe it's 10 rows, and then it creates a wedge. And then once you've done, once you have a total of 7 wedges, you connect them on the side, and then you connect and pull tight at the center, and then you block it, and you have your beret. So the pattern calls for 7 wedges, but I'm like, well, the first one was so small, and even though I've gone up a needle size, I'm like, let me do 1 more wedge. So this one has 8, I believe, if anyone wants to count. This one has 8, and it blocked out a little bit bigger, but also it definitely does not fit. It doesn't look right on my head. But also I have, like, my hair is big, so I'm hoping that my aunt's friends, maybe I need to add the little thing. I'm hoping that my aunt's friends have smaller heads, but it kind of fit on my mom, and I took a picture of her in it, which is, it's not the best photo, but whatever. But I'm thinking I'll have to redo this one too. So I didn't want to pull this out until I know for sure, so I've just moved on to the next color. And I think, so I'm still using the 4mm. It's either 4 or 4.5. And here you can kind of see better the wedges that I'm talking about. Here's the first one, and then here's the second one. And then at a certain point, you go back and you connect all of these, and then you start your next wedge. So what I did on this one is just added 10 more stitches to make it hopefully longer. Because I think the measurements that she had in the pattern too, it was supposed to be like 10-inch diameter of the hat, which this is not measuring tape. Yeah. Her thing says 10 inches. Mine is 8.5 for diameter. So that's not right. And then she said, I think, is it like 6 inches or 8 inches height? So like the brim is supposed to be a certain number of inches tall. My brim is like 2.5 inches tall. So I don't know what's up between this pattern and me, but I just added more stitches, hoping that would A, give me a bigger diameter, and B, give me the height I need for the brim. So we'll see. I have until this coming Tuesday to finish it and mail it. Finish and mail all 3. Does it sound like I'm gonna make that deadline? I don't know, but I guess I can give it when they come back and be like, oh, here's a token of Paris. We'll see. I don't know. So that's what's going on. Wish me luck on that. So those are my whips. The cardigan, the testament, the berets, and then I guess I have some acquisitions. So with my acquisitions, I have a lot of things that I've purchased recently, and also some pre-orders that I placed have started to arrive, but I think I'm gonna hold off on the pre-orders because one place that I purchased from is the Pearly Girl yarn shop that was based in Texas, Houston area. I think technically Spring, Texas, but let's just call it Houston. They unfortunately were closing their shop, and they were having some sales. I believe I showed some of my items last time, or when I had made a purchase when I went to Houston. I made a purchase there, and then I ordered things at the same time, and that was like when they were like 20% off. And then when I got home from Houston, they were on like 50% off. And then a couple of weeks ago, they were on 70% off. So I just kept going back. Unfortunately, I think they now have officially shut the doors. I don't know if there's anything left on the website, probably because I purchased a lot of it. But they were just so sweet, and I'm sorry that they had to close their shop, but I definitely was appreciative of the discounts that I got, because I was able to get some things that, you know, I might not have otherwise purchased, including the Knitting for Olive Merino that I am using for my tangent top test knit, and that was the merino in the wild berries color, just so beautiful. And I also got what color is this? Oh, artichoke purple. I think that was a tongue twister because my brain is like, that's not artichoke, this is purple, not green, but whatever. Artichoke purple. It's very pretty. It is soft. And it's funny because I don't know if there's a difference in, no, this says 100% wool, and this is also 100% wool. The Knitting for Olive is 100% extra fine merino, traceable, non-mulced. Okio Tech Standard 100. It's 250 meters and 50 grams. And very lovely, but the drops merino is almost softer. Maybe this one's not superwash and this one is. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but that's interesting. Yeah, okay. So those were 2 items that I got from my first Pearly Girl order, the Knitting for Olive. And then I also got some Rowan cotton cashmere. This is 50 grams, 125 meters. Doesn't say what color. Oh, I think on the website, this is Coral. Rowan Cotton Cashmere, and it's 85% cotton and 15% cashmere, and it is pretty soft. Don't have a pattern set for it yet, but I'm excited to have a cotton blend because that's what I want to wear in the summertime. And even if I don't make something this summer, there's always next summer. And then the other thing that I got is this Woolfolk Fleck yarn. And this is color F2. It's 160 yards or 145 meters and 50 grams. Recommended needle is 3.25 to 3.75 millimeter. This is 90% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino and 10% Donegal. And look at this color. It's so pretty. It's so drapey. It's so soft. The tweed is lovely. I'm excited to work on this. For this, I plan to make the home cardigan by Kadri. I'm very excited for that. I think that will be nice and snuggly and just like a perfect everyday cardigan, perfect wear to the office when I'm freezing cold cardigan. I'm looking forward to that. And my second order from Pearly Girl, I got Chaski by Amano yarn. This is 60% superwash, 30% Pima cotton, 10% linen, made in Peru. 100 grams is 350 meters or 383 yards. This is color 1700 shell. So here is, it's a cute label. Oh, if I could make it still. And the color is shell, which is like a beige tan. And so I think with the, oh, and it's machine washable. Chaski in Quechua was the name given to a very important messenger in Inca society. They would often run hundreds of miles on the vast Incan empire, step into the spring in the Andes with our beautiful new blend of Pima cotton, superwash merino, and linen. Chaski is machine washable. That's very interesting. I did not read that before, but I thought that some kind of top or tank or something would be nice with the cotton and the linen blend, or like a summer cardigan, whatever floats my boat. And then I also got more of the Circulo Amigurumi in this nice bright green. I think it's called, the color is 5669 Tiffany. I think it's supposed to be like Tiffany blue, but it's more aqua in my opinion. And let me see if the Circulo that I got from my sister, which is the eucalyptus color. I mean, maybe that makes it look more blue, but in person to me, this is like, I don't know, what's a color for green, but it's not Tiffany blue to me. But yeah, I got that, and I also got it in the color Brownie, 7569. I think that a brown tank top would look very nice on me. Make me look a little tan and just like a nice caramel chocolate babe. And this is mercerized cotton, 254 meters, 278 yards, and it's a DK weight. Love it. And then I thought I would try out some mohair options. This is the Berroco Ariel, 65% Super Kid mohair and 35% silk. Lace weight in the color 3404 Driftwood. And I got this color, it's kind of like a beigey gray. I forget for which pattern, not which pattern, which yarn in my stash, but I kind of got this because I thought it might be nice to hold double with some existing colors I have in my stash. Kind of like this cone from Woolly Knit. Yeah, to hold a double to make like a cardigan or something. Or some of the Miss Babs yarn that I got on the yarn crawl. I thought it would work well with those. And then I also got this Rowan Alpaca Classic made with superfine alpaca and cotton. It comes in 25-gram skeins. It's 57% alcotton. It's 57% alpaca and 43% cotton. The color I think is 109. Oh yeah, 0109 deep teal. So Rowan alpaca cotton, and there we have beautiful. I think this shows like a little more green in person than, not green, but more tealy. Like on camera, I feel like it looks a little navy. I wonder what would happen if I hold it next to, yeah, I don't know. But it's beautiful either way. And that'll just be added to my stash. I don't have a project in mind. I just got enough skeins to, you know, whatever comes to mind in the future, I should have enough. And then the last yarn from Pearly Girl Studios is this Berroco Modern Cotton, colors 1667 Providence. And this is 60% Pima cotton, 40% modal rayon, and I believe 100 grams, 209 yards. That's like a DK. Wait, it says 4. Wait, 4. Berroco Modern Cotton, and here's the skein. It's a nice kind of like slate gray color, like charcoal. And I thought this would make a really nice like summer cardigan, like, I don't know, probably another plain stockinette or something like that, but like light enough to like, you know, wear in the movies in the summer. So like without having to take your jacket off, you know, when it's hot in the summer and you have to take something off. Usually when it's hot in the summer and you go to the movies, you need something cool you need something warm to keep you need something that will keep you warm in the theater because they blast the AC. But then when you go outside and it's hot, I don't always want to take off what I have on. So I think something like this would be nice to just cover up, but you know, not make me overheated. So those are the last yarny things that I got. Oh, let me show you. And then they also had some cables. These are interchangeable cables from Chilgu, however you say it. I just got a 30-inch cable and a 50-inch cable. And they're in the large size, so that means they work with the knitting needles. They're I think it's like 6mm and above fits the large cables, and then like 5.5 or something like that and down fits the small cables. I figured the 50-inch for like if I want to do a blanket project or something like that, and then 30-inch if I'm doing a chunky sweater or something like that. But those were on sale as well. And then the final thing that I got are buttons. Should I make that my thumbnail? But they had some beautiful button options. Some of them are bigger than I expected, but look at that. Oh. And then like flat green on this side. So You could really show either side depending on your project, but I think that's this like fish scale sparkle side is the intended side to show. And I think I got like 5 or 6 of each. This one I think would be a good simple one for like the home cardigan that I want to make. Right? Maybe. Or I could do this like super modern button, but maybe not. But anyway, I thought that this was a cool button as well. And then the final button, I need a fun project for this. I think this one was called Unicorn. And isn't that just gorgeous? And then plain on the other side. But yeah, I got a couple of those as well. And that is it for my acquisitions. Yay, we made it. Okay. And then as far as my plans, I have to finish my test knit. I have to finish the beret. And then I'm going to Flock Fiber Festival in just a couple of weeks. I think it's 2 weeks now because the end of this coming week will be the 30th, and then Flock is on the 4th of August. Or at least, yeah, that's when I fly out, the 4th to the 6th, I think it is. So I'm hoping that I can get one more top in. So I might have to I definitely need to make more progress on my test knit first. But I think that since the test knit is not due until I'm at Flock, hopefully I can do like a small top to wear to Flock before getting there. And I was actually just in a yarn store in Brooklyn yesterday, which I considered filming before I went to that, but I digress. The Wandering Flock had OOAK sale, one of a kind sale in her studio in Brooklyn. Actually got a bunch of stuff. I'm not gonna go through them, but I got a huge bag of goodies, and look at her logo. I got a huge bag of goodies. I might use one of them for that, but I'm thinking not. So she had her sale, and then she also was like, oh, and if you wanna, come still hang out, there's also Cleo's yarn shop, which is like 2 blocks away from the Wandering Flock studio. Cleo's yarn shop on Meadow Ave, Brooklyn. I got this Amano Sami yarn. She had a sample. She had 2 samples in this yarn in her store. The first was the Abuela tank, which I saw on Instagram a couple weeks ago, and that's crochet pattern, and immediately I was like, I need that. It looks so good. I think it's kind of like using like the granny stitch. And then she also had a simplistic rib top. And this Amano Sami, I mean, look at that drape. It's 100% Peruvian Pima organic cotton. Sami means kindness in Quechua, the native language of the Andes. Sami is kind to both our skin and the planet, as it is a certified organic fiber grown on the coast and high jungle in Peru. This long-haired fiber is extremely soft, 50 grams, 150 meters. Color 1802, fossil. See, an acquisition, bonus acquisition. But anyway, I'm gonna try and make another top for Flock in this. I think it was the simplistic rib cami. The only thing is that the sample that Cleo had in the store, she had modified it. So first, the biggest modification was that it was much more cropped than the pattern calls for, which was very cute. But she was saying, she's like, it's actually like a little too cropped. It's almost like a bralette, but whatever. And then she also, the cami is a v-neck, but she had done like a V, but then like a open, I don't know. Can I draw it? Whatever that's called, she did that instead of it just being a simple V, she like added this notch. So if I can figure out how to do that, I will. I don't think I will have time. She offered to go over the modifications with me if I come back to the shop, but I don't know if I'll have time for that before flock. So I might just have to start off with following as pattern if I can't work out how to do that myself. But her shop was definitely something that I would recommend you go to. It was so cute, and I was messaging her today actually, and I'm saying like, I'm so glad I went and I found kind of like other crafters like in our age group. She herself is pretty young to own a knitting store, a yarn store, which is amazing. But there are like college age people, some people, you know, shortly out of college, some people, you know, maybe in their mid 30s, as well as a couple people who were like middle-aged or, you know, whatever. It was a variety, but it was also, you know, a younger crowd, and a very diverse crowd too. And I was happy to see that. A lot of the yarn stores in New Jersey or that are local to me, they are great, fantastic, love them, but some of them are a bit older. Like the age base of the customers are a bit older, and you know, while I'm still happy to have that community, I think that it's also at the same time great to connect with people who are more similar. I don't know. Anyway, I had fun. And so I think those are my next plans. And then as far as what's been going on in my life, I took my mini mock neck tank out to a work event in the city, in Meatpacking District. And that was fun. I took the subway, and in my Alpaca, I did all right. I was a little bit hot, I think because I had a jacket on top of it, but once I took my jacket off, that was very fun. It was also nice to connect with, it was a Juneteenth event, so I was able to connect with a lot of the other people of color that are at my job. We went out for drinks and food after, and really like, you know, got to bond with each other, which is nice because in the corporate world, you don't always find that. And then I also, at that event, I won tickets to the New York Liberty WNBA game. And then again, I went with some of my coworkers. That was also a great time. I went to the Jasmine Sullivan concert. She also had Ari Lennox there and Queen Nyjah, some queens. That was amazing. And then I had a trip to the beach with my girlfriends from high school. We went down to the shore for the weekend. That was also a great time. We relaxed at the beach. I was working on my berets at the beach. We played some games, had good food. Then we went out, did some dancing. That was really fun. We also had it rained one of the days, so we did like breakfast and then shopping. And then, I will insert some beautiful pictures. The blanket, the lacy knit baby blanket that I made for my boss as a commission. The baby was born July 18th, 1 a.m. He was born, and they are already using the baby blanket. I will insert the clips or she did send me one video. If I can cover his face in the video, I'll add it, but if not, the pictures are here. And it looks so good, and I'm like so happy that they're already using the blanket and that they love it, and she loves it, and we both love that they're using it. A+. And then, as I mentioned, yesterday was the Wandering Flock sale, as well as the happy hour knit night at Cleo's, and that was Barbie themed. Check out my reel on Instagram. I did like a get ready with me. Who am I? I like to laugh at my own jokes, clearly. But yeah, that was fun. I wore my mini mock neck again and a skirt that I got from Target to stick to the Barbie theme. I think I did a great job, if I do say so myself. And then getting into entertainment, what I've been watching, reading, etc. We can start with the podcasters that I've been watching. First and foremost have been the Sweden trip vlogs from the Kopi Dolls and Alexander's Garn. So Malika, Mr. Bobbin, Kahila, Kalila, they've all been posting, and Alexander's Garn, they've all been posting their videos. They did a knit and chat and vlogs from the Kopi Dolls trip to visit Alexander in Sweden, and that's always fun for me to watch, seeing their camaraderie and their friendship. I love it. I've also been watching Stitched by Shreya, her podcast, and then I found a couple of new POC, people of color, with podcasts. The first one that I watched was Steph Made That. His podcast is really good. I think he had it previously and now he's doing like a rebrand, but he is a character. He just graduated college, so congrats to him. And I'm excited about what he's making. And then I also found This Thread of Gold and Made You Look Knits. And I think This Thread of Gold, she's actually based in Scotland. Her curly fro is amazing. Her projects is amazing. And she has a Scottish accent. I'm obsessed. And Made You Look Knits, as I said, also very fun. And then what I've been reading, I've read a lot. I'm not gonna name them all, but two of the books that I've been reading: The Singles Dads Club by Therese Bahari, that was really good. And then I just finished this morning Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop, and now I'm already moving on to something else in Natasha Bishop's catalog. That one was a good one. It's basically, the plot is a girl is a maid of honor for her sister who has a destination wedding, and her sister is getting married to the girl's ex-boyfriend. So there's that drama, and then the girl has an attraction for the groom's best man, which is his best friend. So that was funny and fun, and surprisingly had a lot of like self-growth in it, and you know, a little spicy. We always like that. And then what I've been watching, the two things that I recommend the most right now, oh, I forgot to mention, sorry, cut, in the, you know, things that I've been doing in my life, we also went to Florida, and that was an adventure. We went to Florida July 9th because my cousin John was proposing to his girlfriend as a surprise, and like the cover for the surprise, which was a beautiful thing in its own right, she actually just graduated with her PhD. Well, she graduated in May, but they were having a graduation party. And then the same day he was gonna do a proposal. So that weekend was great. We went and had an Airbnb with our family. We went to the graduation party, we went to the engagement. That all went off without a hitch. Sunday, the day before we were supposed to leave, we had a lunch at like 1 p.m. So we all left our Airbnb, went and met up with her family and her friends for lunch. And then when we got back to the Airbnb at like 3 o'clock, our Airbnb had been broken into and robbed. So they stole my cousin's car. He has a big old Dodge truck. They stole his car, which he had left at home because he didn't have gas in it. He had, you know, we'd gone out the day before. He had done a lot of driving. We got home late. He didn't want to stop for gas, so he just left the car and we all rode together. But they stole his truck. They stole all of our electronics, so work laptops, work phones, mine and my sister's iPads, my cousin's AirPods, all of their Jordans, most of my cousin John's clothes. Yeah, it was crazy. We tried not to let that get us down, and you know, we just enjoyed our family time, but there was like a whole like car chase with the police. They were able to get the vehicle back, but I think not all of our, you know, possessions were in there, so we're still dealing with the fallout of that, which is why I'm looking at my paper notes, because normally I would have my iPad here that I would reference, but my iPad is gone. Which I'm like, oh, is this a reason to get a new iPad with more storage? Because I was just telling my friend that I need more storage. She's like, just get a new one. Here's the link. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Not when I have a perfectly good iPad, but now I'm iPadless. But anyway, no big deal. We'll work that out, you know, when the time comes. I'm just grateful that, you know, nobody was hurt. And, you know, our family will be fine. We had a great time regardless of that situation, but I'm like not going back to Florida for a while, and definitely not to an Airbnb. But to be fair, that is like the first time anything like that has happened to us there. Anyway, back to entertainment. What I recommend for watching. The first one is The Terminal List on Amazon Prime. That was really good. With it starring Chris Pratt, and in it he is a Marine. Yeah, I think he's a Marine or a SEAL. One of the two. I always get them confused. And his squadron, or whatever it's called, they get ambushed on a mission, and he's like one of the few to survive. And then when he comes home, there's like a cover-up going on regarding the mission, and so he is on a new mission essentially to figure out like who set them up, why did they do it, and basically, I don't want to say get revenge, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. That was really excellent. I watched it very quickly. And then I'm also watching on Apple TV with my family, Hijacked, starring Idris Elba, and that is about a plane that gets hijacked on its way from Dubai to London, and that's being released weekly. So that is the hard part for me, because I don't like cliffhangers, and literally every episode is a cliffhanger and you have to wait a week. Usually I hold off on watching things until the whole season is out, because I just prefer to binge watch things. But yeah, we're watching it as a family, so we are watching it weekly, but it's very good. It's very interesting. We'll see what happens with the rest of that series. And then also on Apple TV, I watched the movie Ghosted with Ana de Armas and Chris Evans, which that was cute and funny. She is a CIA agent, and she meets Chris in a farmer's market. They go on a date, and then she ghosts him, but he finds her and then somehow gets pulled into her like CIA operations. So that was pretty cute. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed. Please let me know what you were working on while you watched, if you were working on anything. If you are going to be at Flock Fiber Festival, please say hi. I would love to meet and make fiber friends. There are a few designers, dyers, and podcasters that I'm hoping to see myself. Yeah, that'll be exciting. I don't get in until Friday night late, so we have Saturday and Sunday tickets, myself and my dad. But yes, hope to see you at Flock. If not, I will try to, you know, capture some moments. Then maybe I can, I don't know if I can do a whole Flock vlog, but let's not commit to that. But of course I'll share, you know, the good stuff on here. Yeah, let me know what you're working on. If you're gonna be at Flock, what do you have coming up? If you have anything that you want to leave in the comments, please like the video, please share, please subscribe, tell your friends. I was also really shocked that I don't know if anybody follows my Instagram page. I'll leave it down below as well. But my dad finally got around to watching my first video, like the beginning of this week, and then he like casually mentioned like, oh, you have 1,000 views on this video. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then I looked, I'm like, oh my God, I have 1,000 views. So that was a nice surprise. I'm so happy. I didn't expect that at all, but hopefully if I keep making these videos, I'll get some more views and have more people to talk to about this thing that we love so much. But thank you for watching. I hope that you have a great day, a great week. Please be kind to yourself. Please do something that you love. Be kind to others. And just have a great week. Thank you. Bye.
There's none but you. I hear you. Knew it was real when you got me. Sitting on judging my body, wondering what I would do, and why in the hell you ain't choosing, why you don't love me no more. Yeah, I don't even know. Come on. What is something different? You don't know I was missing what you had love you. It ain't right. I need those be winning, right everywhere. Yeah, no hope for a girl like me. I come everywhere. Yeah, I wanna be what you make a Hawaiian.
It's so cold.